How do seasons come into being? In simple terms, in this article, we will discuss seasons and their changes and examine the reasons for the change and emergence of seasons. We will also compare the lengths of the seasons on different planets in the solar system. What is a season? Seasons are parts of the year that are distinguished by specific weather conditions. The four seasons of spring, summer, autumn, and winter follow each other in a regular manner. In each of the seasons, there are specific patterns of light, temperature, and other elements that repeat annually. In the northern hemisphere, winter begins on the last day of December 21st or 22nd. This time marks the beginning of winter, or the winter solstice, and it is the day of the year with the shortest duration of daylight, the longest night of the year. Also, in this hemisphere, summer begins on the June 20th or 21st. This day is called the summer solstice and has the longest day of the year. Spring and autumn begin at the equinoxes, during which the duration of day and night are equal. The vernal equinox begins on March 20th or 21st, and the autumnal equinox begins on the last day of September 22nd or 23rd. The seasons in the northern hemisphere are opposite to those in the southern hemisphere. This means that in Argentina and Australia, winter begins at the end of May. In the southern hemisphere, while the summer solstice and the longest day of the year are the last day of December or the first day of day. Seasons occur because the Earth tilts on its axis relative to the orbital plane, which is a flat and invisible disk around which most objects in the solar system revolve around the sun. The axis of the Earth is an invisible line that connects the center to the poles, and as you know, the Earth rotates around its axis. In the month of December, when the northern hemisphere of the Earth tilts towards the sun, sunlight and solar radiation shine on it more than in winter, meaning it receives light for more hours of the day. In December, when the northern hemisphere moves away from the sun, it receives less light, and the Earth is illuminated for fewer hours. Seasons have a significant impact on vegetation cover and plant growth. Winter usually has cold weather, low light, and limited plant growth. In spring, plants bud, tree leaves turn green, and flowers bloom. Summer is the hottest time of the year, and the days are long. Therefore, plants grow quickly. In autumn, the temperature drops, and many trees lose their leaves. A year with 4 seasons occurs only in the mid-latitudes. The mid-latitudes are geographical locations that are neither close to the poles nor close to the equator. The further north you go, the greater the seasonal differences. Helsinki, Finland has 18.5 hours of daylight in late June, while in late December, it has less than 6 hours of daylight. Athens, Greece in southern Europe, has less variation. This country has 14.5 hours of daylight in late June and 9.5 hours in late December. Places near the equator also experience little seasonal variation. The amount of light and darkness in these places is almost the same throughout the year. These places remain warm throughout the year. Near the equator, regions usually have alternating rainy and dry seasons. Regarding the polar regions, it should be noted that these areas also experience seasonal diversity, although they are generally colder than other places on Earth. Near the poles, the amount of daylight dramatically changes between summer and winter. In Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost city in the United States, it is almost daylight for the entire day from late May to mid-August. This city is in complete darkness between late November and December. What causes the change of seasons? Many people believe that the Earth is closer to the sun in summer, and that's why it's warmer. Similarly, they think that the Earth is at its farthest distance from the sun in winter and is colder. Although this idea seems logical, it is incorrect. It is true that the Earth's orbit is not a perfect circle and deviates slightly from a complete circle, and as a result, at certain times of the year, it is closer to the sun than at other times. However, at the same time in the northern hemisphere, while the Earth is close to the sun, it is winter, and when it is at its farthest distance, it is summer. In other words, it should be said that compared to the distance from the Earth to the sun, this change in the Earth's distance throughout the year does not make much difference in the weather. So what causes the seasons? In fact, everything depends on the tilt of the Earth. 2 things cause the seasons to change. First, the Earth moves around the sun. Secondly, the Earth has axial rotation. The Earth rotates around an axis, which is an imaginary line extending from the South Pole to the North Pole. But the axis of the Earth is not vertical, and actually has a tilt of 23.5 degrees. This planet, Earth, always has an inclination in the same direction it orbits around the sun. But the question is, what is the relationship between the tilted and inclined axis of the Earth relative to the perpendicular line and the seasons? This means that different parts of the Earth are oriented towards the sun at different times of the year. This is also why the seasons are different in various parts of the world. Not all parts of the Earth have 4 distinct seasons, but they all experience seasonal variation. As one approaches the North and South poles, the duration of daylight and temperature change with the seasons. Days are longer and the temperature in summer is lower than in winter. Near the equator, the length of the day is always about 12 hours, but these regions usually have only one wet season and one dry season. What caused the tilt of the Earth's axis? The reason for the tilt of the Earth's axis from a vertical to an inclined position is likely hidden in an event related to the past. In this event, a large object collided with Earth, destroying many parts of the material that later formed the Moon and tilting Earth's axis. The large object that collided with Earth is named Theia. This impact also created a large crater on the surface of the Earth. This impact transferred a large amount of dust and debris into orbit, and these dust and particles from the explosion eventually coalesced to form the Moon. As the Earth orbits around the Sun, its tilted axis always points in the same direction. Therefore, throughout the year, different regions of the Earth receive direct sunlight. Sometimes the North Pole tilts towards the Sun around June, and sometimes the South Pole tilts towards the Sun around December. In the Northern Hemisphere, summer is in July because the Sun's rays strike that part of the Earth more directly than at any other time of the year. Also, in this hemisphere, winter is in December because that is when it is the Southern Hemisphere's turn to tilt towards the Sun. What are the consequences of seasonal changes? Seasonal changes affect the amount of rainfall, temperature, soil moisture, water evaporation rate, river flow, lake level, and snow and ice cover. As you have surely seen, with the approach of the cold and dry seasons, the leaves fall and the plants wither. These changes in vegetation also affect the type and amount of food available for humans and other creatures. Animals in temperate and polar regions migrate to warmer places or hibernate to find more food resources. How are the seasons on other planets? Other planets also have seasonal changes, but the length and intensity of each season vary from planet to planet. On Earth, seasons last between 90 to 93 days. On the planet Venus, the seasons last between 55 to 58 days. On Mars, the seasons change every 6 months, and there are 2 seasons on this planet. Thus, summer on Mars lasts 199 days, and winter lasts 146 days. On Saturn, seasons last about 7 years, and if you lived on Neptune, you would have to wait over 40 years for the season to change. Summary. In this article, we discuss the reason for the emergence and change of the seasons. As mentioned, the main reason for the change of seasons is the tilt of the Earth relative to the vertical axis of its orbit around the Sun. We also mentioned that the seasons in different parts of the Earth vary depending on whether they are near the poles, are located at the equator. Finally, we compared the lengths of the seasons on different planets with each other. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.